Have you ever really stopped to think about the incredible biology behind making a baby?
Hmm.
I mean, beyond the basics we all learned.
Yeah, there's this whole hidden world, right? Fascinating details, and honestly, a lot of stubborn myths floating around about conception.
Exactly. So today, we're doing a deep dive into the science of getting pregnant.
Hmm.
We're going to debunk some of those common misconceptions and really explore what it takes to, optimize your chances.
Hmm.
We've looked at a bunch of medically reviewed articles to try and give you the clearest, maybe most surprising, and hopefully most helpful info.
Okay.
Let's just unpack this because there's so much conventional wisdom out there, and honestly, some of it just isn't true at all.
It really isn't. And what's truly fascinating, I think, is just how many factors are involved. It's this delicate dance of hormones,
Yeah.
and then there's the resilience or sometimes the fragility of sperm.
Right.
So we'll explore not just what happens biologically, but really why it matters for you and how it kind of challenges what we thought we knew.
Okay, let's start with the blueprint then. The biological plan for making a baby. And even if you think you know the basics, stick with us because there are some surprising twists even in the fundamentals.
Definitely.
Let's begin with female fertility. It's pretty mind-blowing that women are born with all the eggs they'll ever have, something like 2 million.
Yeah, around that number initially, but that number drops off pretty significantly over time. By the time of her first period, she might have a few 100,000 left.
Wow, quite a drop already.
And then there's an accelerated decline around age 37 or 38. By menopause, which is typically, 45 to 55, there might only be about 1,000 eggs left.
1,000 from millions. That's incredible. So for conception to even be possible, one of those precious eggs needs to be released each cycle.
Ovulation.
Exactly. Ovulation. It's triggered by this surge in luteinizing hormone, LH, after another hormone, FSH, has helped the follicles mature. But here's the real kicker, the thing that surprises a lot of people.
Once that egg is released, its viable lifespan is incredibly short. We're talking only about 24 hours.
Just 24 hours. That seems like such a tiny, tiny window.
It is.
It really highlights the precision involved, doesn't it? Does it put a lot of pressure on timing then?
Oh, absolutely. Timing is critical because of that short window.
Yeah.
Now, compare that to male fertility. It operates on a completely different schedule.
Right. Men are different.
Very different. Men are constantly producing sperm, millions of them every single day, basically from puberty onwards. So, unlike eggs, sperm aren't finite in the same way. New ones are always being made.
And how long do sperm last?
Well, an average sperm lives a few weeks inside the male body. And get this, up to 500 million can be released in a single ejaculation.
500 million. That's astronomical.
It is.
I remember reading something about temperature being important for sperm production. The testicles need to be cooler.
That's absolutely right. They need to be about 1 to 2 degrees Celsius cooler than normal body temperature, so around 95 Fahrenheit. It's crucial for healthy sperm development.
A biological adaptation. Fascinating. And speaking of sperm, they're the ones determining the sex of the baby. Yeah. Y chromosome for a boy, X for a girl.
Correct. The sperm carries either an X or a Y. And despite all the old wives' tales, things people try to influence the sex, biologically, it's pretty much random at the moment of fertilization.
So no special tricks really work.
Not reliably, no. Now, this brings us to the timing of conception, what's often called the fertile window.
Okay, the fertile window. What exactly defines that?
It's generally defined as the 5 days leading up to ovulation, the day of ovulation itself, and the day after. So you're looking at roughly a 7-day window in total.
7 days. That's longer than just the 24 hours the egg survives.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit counterintuitive for some.
Go on.
The highest likelihood of pregnancy often isn't on the actual day of ovulation. It's frequently the day before.
The day before. So it's not just hitting that 24-hour egg window. It's more about having the sperm already there waiting.
Precisely. Because sperm can survive inside the female reproductive tract for quite a while. Up to 5 days is common, sometimes even a bit longer.
5 days. Okay.
So having sperm already present when the egg is released significantly boosts the chances. It's like having the welcoming committee ready.
Makes sense. So once ejaculation happens, what's that journey like for the sperm? It sounds like a marathon.
It really is an epic journey. Millions start out, but they face huge obstacles. The vagina's natural acidity is tough on them, and cervical mucus can be a barrier too.
But the mucus changes, doesn't it? around the fertile time.
It does, miraculously. During the fertile window, the cervical mucus thins out, becomes more slippery, allowing the strongest sperm to get through. It's pretty amazing.
So even with millions starting, how many actually make it close to the egg?
Typically only a few dozen, maybe 100 at most. It's a massive reduction.
A few dozen out of millions. That's incredible odds. It's like natural selection happening right there.
It absolutely is. It ensures only the most viable sperm have a shot. And then once one single sperm manages to penetrate the egg's outer layer,
Just one.
just one, the egg shell instantly changes, forming a barrier to block all the others. It's locked down.
Wow. And then what happens to that fertilized egg?
That new cell, which we call a blastocyst at this early stage, starts traveling down the fallopian tube towards the uterus. Pregnancy technically begins when this blastocyst successfully attaches or implants into the wall of the uterus.
And how long does that take?
Usually about 5 to 6 days after fertilization, that implantation step is key.
It's such an intricate sequence of events. And, just like internal biology matters, external factors can play a role too, right?
Yeah.
I think we should mention cannabis use and male fertility here.
Yes, that's a relevant point.
Mm.
Some research suggests that regular cannabis use can contribute to a lower sperm count and might also interfere with the sperm's ability to swim effectively, their motility.
So definitely something for guys to consider if they're trying to conceive.
Absolutely, it's one of those lifestyle factors. And speaking of things that might surprise you or challenge assumptions, let's tackle some common conception myths.
Okay, let's do it. The big one first. Can you actually get pregnant if you have sex during your period? Most people think absolutely not.
Yeah, that's a really common belief, but the answer is surprisingly, yes, it is possible. It's not the most likely time for sure, but it can happen.
Okay, that seems totally counterintuitive. Break that down for us.
Well, there are a few scenarios where the timing lines up just right, or maybe just wrong, depending on your perspective. One factor is cycle length. If a woman has a short menstrual cycle, say only 21 days long.
Okay, shorter than the average 28 days.
Right, and maybe she also has a longer period, perhaps lasting 7 days. Ovulation could then happen quite soon after her period ends, maybe around day 10 or 11 of her cycle.
I see where this is going.
Exactly. If she has sex on day 7, the last day of her period, those sperm could still be viable inside her reproductive tract on day 10 or 11 when she ovulates, because sperm can live up to 5 days.
So the sperm longevity meets the early ovulation. Got it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Are there other ways?
Yep. Sometimes what seems like a period might actually be mid-cycle spotting. This spotting can sometimes occur around ovulation.
Ah, so you might mistake ovulation bleeding for your period.
Precisely. If you have unprotected sex thinking it's your period, but you're actually ovulating or very close to it, conception is definitely possible. And there's another, perhaps less common scenario related to changing hormones.
Like during perimenopause.
Exactly. Or if someone has a rapidly decreasing egg reserve, the brain might send signals for new eggs earlier than usual, potentially causing ovulation that's sort of out of phase, maybe even occurring during what seems like a period.
Wow, the body can really throw curveballs. Okay, another area full of myths, pre-cum or pre-ejaculate. Can you get pregnant from that? The common wisdom is no.
Again, common wisdom isn't quite right here. While it's considered unlikely, it's not impossible to get pregnant from pre-cum.
Okay, explain that. What is pre-cum actually for?
Preseminal fluid, or pre-cum, is released during arousal before ejaculation. Its main jobs are to neutralize any leftover acidity in the man's urethra from urine, and also to help neutralize acidity in the vagina, creating a more sperm-friendly environment.
So it's mostly lubricant and neutralizer. Does it actually contain sperm? That seems to be the debate.
That is the debate, and the research is honestly pretty limited and kind of conflicting. Some small studies have found motile sperm active, swimming sperm in pre-cum samples.
Really? How many?
Well, one study found them in 11 out of 27 men. Another found mobile sperm in about 17% of the men they tested. But then again, other studies found absolutely no sperm in pre-cum.
So it's inconsistent. Maybe it depends on the person, or if there was a recent ejaculation.
That's the speculation, yeah. Maybe some semen from a previous ejaculation leaks into the pre-cum. The bottom line is some men might have sperm in their pre-cum, some might not, and there's no way to know without testing.
And the crucial thing is a man can't feel or control its release, right?
Exactly. He can't feel it coming out, and it's hard to tell it apart from actual ejaculate sometimes. This is why the withdrawal method, or pulling out, is known to be unreliable.
What's the failure rate on that?
The CDC notes it has a failure rate of about 1 in 5. So roughly 20% of couples relying solely on withdrawal will conceive within a year. It's definitely not recommended as a reliable form of birth control.
Good to know. Definitely not something to rely on if you're trying to avoid pregnancy. Okay, what about pregnancy without actual vaginal intercourse? This sounds like urban legend territory.
For the most part, it is very unlikely without medical intervention. Sperm are actually quite fragile outside the body. They need warmth, they need moisture. On a dry surface or exposed to air, they die within minutes.
So all those stories about toilet seats.
Total myth. Sperm die way too quickly on a cold, dry toilet seat. Same goes for hot tubs or swimming pools. The temperature is usually too high, plus the water dilutes and disperses them instantly. Making out won't do it. Oral sex won't cause pregnancy unless ejaculation somehow happens right at the vaginal opening. Semen on clothes is also a non-starter once it's dry.
Okay, so those are definitely myths. But are there any scenarios, however rare, where it could happen without typical intercourse?
Well, obviously, assisted reproductive technologies like IVF, IUI, ICI, or even home insemination involve deliberately placing sperm or embryos inside. That's different.
Right, that's intentional.
Beyond that, the risks are extremely small, but theoretically. If semen were ejaculated very close to the vaginal opening, like on the vulva, it's possible some sperm could swim inside.
Okay, possible but highly improbable.
Very improbable. Another scenario, also unlikely but possible, is if there's fresh ejaculate or maybe even pre-cum containing sperm on someone's hands, and those hands are then inserted into the vagina.
So it requires direct transfer of viable sperm into the vagina, even if not via intercourse.
Essentially, yes, but the likelihood in these non-intercourse scenarios is really, really low compared to vaginal sex.
Got it. That clears up a lot. Let's switch gears now to strategic conception. For couples who are trying, how can they maximize their chances? Does the time of day for sex matter, for instance? Morning versus evening?
You know, that's a common question, but the evidence suggests the time of day really doesn't make a meaningful difference. Some studies hint at slightly higher sperm counts in the morning, maybe, but the variation is usually minimal and unlikely to impact overall conception chances. Remember, it only takes one sperm.
So don't stress about setting alarms for specific times.
Definitely not. The real focus should be on consistently having intercourse during that fertile window we talked about, the 5 days before ovulation, the day of, and maybe the day after.
And how often should couples aim for during that window? Daily. Every other day.
The highest pregnancy rates are generally seen in couples who have sex either daily or every other day throughout that fertile window. Okay. Since sperm can live for up to 5 days inside, having sex every day or two ensures there's usually a fresh supply waiting for the egg when it's released.
Is there such a thing as having too much sex when trying to conceive? Can it deplete sperm counts or cause other issues?
Generally, no. You can't really have too much in terms of depleting sperm to a point where it prevents conception in fertile men. Sperm production is ongoing. In fact, some newer research even hints that more frequent sexual activity might make the woman's immune system more receptive to sperm, kind of telling it not to attack them.
Oh, interesting. Like acclimating the system.
Kinda, yeah. The only real downside to frequent sex is if it starts to feel stressful or like a chore. That stress can negatively impact hormones and cycles for both partners.
Right. So it becomes stressful, maybe less is more.
Exactly. If daily or every other day sex during the fertile window feels like too much pressure, scaling back to just having sex, say, twice total during that key fertile period is still sufficient for many fertile couples to conceive. Quality over quantity, perhaps, if frequency causes stress.
That's really good advice. Keep the pressure off. So how can someone actually recognize their fertile window? What are the body's signs?
There are several clues your body gives you. One of the main ones is changes in cervical mucus. Right before ovulation, it typically becomes clearer, more slippery, and stretchy, often described as resembling raw egg whites.
The egg white mucus cells.
Yeah, that type of mucus is ideal for helping sperm travel. After ovulation, the mucus usually decreases and becomes thicker or stickier.
What about body temperature? I've heard of basal body temperature tracking.
Yes, BBT charting is another method. You take your temperature first thing in the morning before getting out of bed. After ovulation, your resting body temperature will rise slightly, usually by about half a degree to a full degree Fahrenheit, and stay elevated.
So the temperature rise confirms ovulation after it happened.
Correct, which means your most fertile days were actually the 2 or 3 days before that temperature spike. So BBT helps you understand your cycle pattern over time, but it confirms ovulation retrospectively.
Okay, so it's good for pattern tracking, but maybe less useful for predicting the exact day in the current cycle.
It can be, yeah. For more immediate prediction, there are ovulation predictor kits, or OPKs.
Those over-the-counter test strips, how reliable are they?
They're generally very reliable, up to 99% effective in detecting the surge in luteinizing hormone, LH, that happens about 24 to 48 hours before the egg is actually released.
Ah, so the LH surge is the trigger, and the kits detect the trigger. That gives you a heads up.
Exactly. It gives you a day or two notice that ovulation is imminent, which is prime time for intercourse.
Okay, timing is key. Let's talk about some other practical things. Orgasm, for instance. Does female orgasm help conception?
That's a popular theory. For the male partner, orgasm is obviously essential because it's what propels the semen into the vagina, giving the sperm their starting push. For women, while orgasm is certainly pleasurable and good for bonding, there's actually no solid scientific evidence proving it directly aids conception. Some theories suggest the uterine contractions during orgasm might help pull sperm upwards, but it's largely speculative.
So nice if it happens, but not essential for getting pregnant.
Pretty much. It definitely doesn't hurt, and the feel-good hormones might even help with relaxation, which is always good, but it's not a requirement.
What about lubricants? Lots of couples use them. Can they interfere?
Oh, yes, absolutely. This is a really important point. Many common store-bought lubricants and even some natural ones people try, like olive oil or coconut oil, can actually harm sperm.
How so?
They often have the wrong pH balance. They might be too acidic or too alkaline compared to fertile cervical mucus, or they can be too thick, essentially creating a barrier that stops sperm from swimming effectively. They can decrease motility or even kill sperm.
Okay, so if you need lubrication while trying to conceive, what should you use?
Well, the best approach is often more foreplay to increase natural arousal and cervical fluid, which is perfectly designed for sperm. If that's not enough, plain warm water can sometimes work as it's generally non-toxic.
Or specific products?
Yes, or look specifically for products marketed as fertility-friendly or sperm-friendly lubricants. Brands like Pre-Seed or Conceive Plus are examples. They're formulated to have the right pH and consistency to not interfere with sperm movement.
Good tip. Now let's touch on the emotional side again. Trying to conceive can turn sex into a scheduled task, which can kill the mood and add stress. How do couples keep intimacy alive?
That's a huge challenge for many. The pressure can really make sex feel, well, humdrum or mechanical. It's vital to actively work against that.
Any specific suggestions?
Yeah, try to introduce variety. Don't always do it in the same place at the same time. Try different rooms, different positions. Maybe surprise each other with a morning or lunchtime session instead of always defaulting to bedtime.
Mix it up a bit.
Exactly. Another idea is to actually skip intercourse on some of the non-fertile days. Sometimes building a little anticipation can rekindle desire. Focus more on foreplay, on connection. Maybe try something like tantric breathing together to focus on intimacy beyond just the act itself.
Communication must be vital here too, right?
Absolutely critical,
Yeah.
especially for women to feel comfortable telling their partners what feels good, what they need. Using I statements can help I feel more connected when we, rather than blaming.
What about physical issues like dryness, especially if you're having sex more often?
Increased frequency can sometimes boost natural lubrication due to higher estrogen, but if dryness is still an issue, first check medications. Some things like antihistamines can cause dryness. If that's not it, then definitely use those sperm-friendly lubricants we talked about. Don't just push through discomfort.
And tackling stress and body image issues seems important too.
Hugely important. Feeling self-conscious about your body or being stressed out can directly impact hormones, potentially messing with cycles, and definitely affecting libido and intimacy. It's crucial to address stress as a team. See sex as a safe haven for connection, not another stressor. Find other outlets too: yoga, walks, talking, whatever works for you both.
What if the issue is on the male side, like difficulty climaxing under pressure or maybe premature ejaculation?
Those can definitely happen when there's pressure to perform. For difficulty ejaculating, sometimes it's linked to specific masturbation habits or maybe alcohol or drug use. Communicating what works or even trying gentle pressure near the prostate can sometimes help. For premature ejaculation, the start and stop technique is often recommended, pausing stimulation just before climax until the urge subsides.
And if these issues persist?
Definitely talk to a doctor. There might be underlying causes or other strategies to try. Don't just ignore it.
Okay, beyond the bedroom specifics, what about general health habits for boosting fertility for both partners?
Lifestyle plays a really big role. Eating a balanced diet, maintaining a healthy weight, and that's key, both being significantly underweight or overweight can negatively impact fertility for both men and women. So finding that healthy BMI range is important.
What else? Smoking? Alcohol?
Definitely avoid smoking altogether.
Hmm.
Limit alcohol consumption. Excessive drinking affects both sperm and egg quality. And manage caffeine intake. The general recommendation is usually around 200 milligrams per day, which is like 1 or 2 standard cups of coffee.
What about exercise?
Moderate exercise is great, but very strenuous exercise, especially for women who are already lean, we're talking more than, say, 5 hours of intense activity per week can sometimes interfere with ovulation, so finding a balance is key.
And supplements. Prenatal vitamins are always mentioned.
Yes, absolutely crucial, especially for the woman before she even gets pregnant. Folic acid is vital for preventing certain birth defects and should be started ideally before conception. Iron, calcium, and omega-3 fatty acids are also important components of a good prenatal vitamin.
Makes sense to prepare the body.
It does, and part of that preparation should ideally include a preconception checkup with a doctor.
Why is that important?
It's a chance to discuss any pre-existing health conditions like depression, diabetes, high blood pressure, and get them well managed before pregnancy. The doctor can also review any medications you're taking to make sure they're safe for pregnancy, or switch you to safer alternatives if needed. It just sets you up for the healthiest possible start.
Great advice. And maybe the overarching theme here is try not to let the process consume you.
Yeah.
Relax.
Exactly. Don't let trying to conceive turn sex solely into a mission. Remember, as we said, even just hitting the fertile window a couple of times gives you a good chance if there are no underlying fertility issues. Try to enjoy the journey together.
And just quickly, for those listening who are actively trying to avoid pregnancy, what are the key takeaways?
If avoiding pregnancy is the goal, relying on myths or unreliable methods like withdrawal is risky. Use consistent, reliable birth control. Options like IUDs, implants, the pill, ring, shot, diaphragms, or condoms are far more effective.
And if unprotected sex does happen?
Emergency contraception is an option. It's available over the counter in many places and can be used up to 5 days after unprotected sex to help prevent ovulation and pregnancy. And of course, if you ever suspect you might be pregnant or have concerns, see a doctor right away.
Okay. So today we've really dug deep into conception, going way beyond the simple story. We've looked at the surprising realities of when and how pregnancy can actually happen.
Yeah, we busted some common myths, explored the amazing biology for both men and women, and even talked about keeping intimacy strong when sex becomes, scheduled.
It really makes you appreciate the complexity, doesn't it? Understanding your body's fertility isn't just about family planning.
Not at all. It's about gaining this deeper respect for how resilient, intricate, and sometimes downright surprising the process of beginning life really is.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. How might this deeper knowledge change how you think about reproductive health?
Yeah.
Maybe even how you approach intimacy in your own life.
Yeah, something to ponder.
We really hope this deep dive has left you not just more informed, but maybe also genuinely curious to keep learning about this incredible journey of conception.